This great thumbnail was designed by the amazing Dylan Jones, one of the great new artists in our community. I will leave links to check him out in the description. He is amazing. Before Dragon Ball was even a thought in Akira Toriyama's head, he was producing Dr. Slump, the manga that would make him a millionaire. And the main character of Dr. Slump was the robot girl Arale, who would be featured in a couple crossovers involving Dragon Ball. Her first appearance in Dragon Ball was way back in the Red Ribbon Army arc when she squared off against General Blue and helped Goku defeat him. And most recently she appeared in Dragon Ball Super episode 69. Now we know that Arale is a gag manga character and thus the physics and the rules of the Dragon Ball world may not apply to her, which is why she is able to do amazing things that make no sense. For example, she can crack the earth in half and then the next panel the earth is okay, or she can fly to Saturn in like a matter of minutes. Arale's powers make no logical sense because she is a gag character, but the question we're going to pose on this edition of What If Discussions is, what if Arale had hung out more in Dragon Ball with the Z Fighters? What if Arale had stuck around for the Piccolo Arc, the Saiyan Saga, Frieza, Cell? What would Arale's impact be on these arcs? We're discussing that next.
Greetings everyone, Cell here. Subscribe to this perfect channel and follow Geekdom on these social media platforms. That will be all.
Welcome to another edition of What If Discussions, where myself and Detective Q get together to discuss various what if scenarios that wouldn't normally be made into long form videos, more so discussions about possibilities in the Dragon Ball world. Now when it comes to this specific discussion, we're going to talk about Arale and her impact on the Dragon Ball universe had she stuck around. So we're going to go arc by arc and kind of talk about what she could do and really what she couldn't do, because there's a lot of things that would have to happen in order for this series to continue with Arale there, because we know that Arale is a gag character and that she is ridiculously overpowered. I mean, as far as we know in the logic of Dragon Ball, Beerus can destroy her because he can destroy anything according to episode 69 of Super, but beyond that, Arale may have no limits. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But let's go ahead and talk about it. So, Detective Q.
Yes?
Qaaman, let's discuss the Piccolo Arc. Now, obviously Arale, based on everything we know, would have mopped the floor with Piccolo. Goku wouldn't have even had a challenge here. And I feel like when it comes to the Piccolo Arc and the Saiyan Saga, I feel like in those two examples, Arale would easily crap over those two characters. As much as people might not like this, she would totally crap over Vegeta, Nappa, the Cybermen, and Piccolo, because, like I said before, she's a gag character. She can punch the earth and crack it in half with one punch. Mm-hmm. That's something that Vegeta couldn't even do, no matter how strong he was. He could destroy the earth, right, but he wasn't that strong. So I feel like what they would have to do is the writers would have to significantly power her down.
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of power scaling, I would definitely have to agree with you there. And the only thing that I think could work in theory against Arale would be if Piccolo, and I'm talking about Piccolo Jr. specifically, if he tried to use that whole reverse Mafuba technique that he used against Kami during the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. But other than that, I think in terms of power, looking at what Arale can do in Super, nobody would really stand a chance. However, in terms of gag humor, though, I think it made the most sense for her to be involved in the Red Ribbon Army arc like it did, because that was one of the arcs where Toriyama had some of its most gag humor. And then when we get to like the Piccolo Jr., King Piccolo arcs, the show definitely went into a completely darker theme. So I think that was some things that we have to take in consideration.
Yeah, the Piccolo arc is definitely much more serious. Red Ribbon was still kind of Toriyama testing the waters out, you know, dipping his feet in the beach here, trying to figure out what tone he wanted to go with. So I agree with you there. I feel like this, if she was there fighting Vegeta, Nappa, and the Cybermen, I mean, I almost feel like Yamcha maybe wouldn't have died. Then again, who knows with Yamcha? He would have found some way to die, maybe. I feel like Arale would have probably defeated Nappa with ease, based on everything we know, the Nechak cannon, and Vegeta would have been beaten before Goku even got there. So, as a result of that, they would have never gone to Namek. and they would have never gone to Namek, and there never would have been, you know, a Frieza saga, essentially, which means that Goku would never become a Super Saiyan, unless, of course, he did it through training, you know, as time went by.
Right.
But with Vegeta being dead, he wouldn't even know what Super Saiyan is, so it's tough to really gauge that one. But just for the sake of this video, because we're doing a discussion more than just an actual what if where you map everything out, Frieza versus Arale. This has been a topic of debate for a while. Now, let's not go with the superpower scaling. Let's go with the Dr. Slump power scaling, okay? Do you think that, because we see Frieza destroy Planet Vegeta in his first form easily with one finger. How do you think Arale would have measured up against Frieza in any of his forms?
Ooh, that's a very good point here, because, I mean, you have to think that even from Frieza's base, or like I should say his contained form, because his original form is really his final form, but if you were to look at all of Frieza's forms, they're so uber in conjunction to so many other aspects of Dragon Ball, it's really hard to put your finger on it. However, I do think when you look at Arale and the fact that she is a gag character, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for Arale to defeat Frieza.
I don't know if it would be either, because she can fly to Saturn like in seconds and minutes. And, you know, Frieza was quick too, but I feel like fourth form Frieza, based on the Dr. Slump power scaling, may be giving her some problems. 100% Frieza, I think, might. Again, that's the Dr. Slump power scaling, which really makes no sense because Toriyama can upgrade and downgrade her whenever he wants. Now, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Let's talk about the Android arc, the Cell arc. So, she is a robot. She was created by Senbei Norimaki, and my question is this, and this is just kind of a pick your brain type thing, and I definitely want comments down below from people giving us your thoughts. When it comes to Dr. Gero, or Gero in the dub, and his spy robot, I wonder if the spy robot had been around during Arale's and the Sea Fighters' fight with Vegeta and Nappa earlier in our What If timeline, if the spy robot would have detected that Arale was, you know, an artificial human or a robot, I wonder if that would have changed things. I wonder if getting some DNA from Arale would have not only made Dr. Gero or Dr. Gero, whatever you want to call him, I wonder if it would have made his experimentation and his research go by quicker, and I wonder if that would have made the androids more dangerous. I feel like if he would have discovered a robot who was this powerful, I feel like as a scientist he would want to harness that power. I feel like he would want to use that power, and I feel like it may make the androids more powerful. It may make Cell more powerful. It may change the way that he views technology, and as a result, maybe he would have tried to, in a way, reprogram her and turn her against the Z Fighter. So, what do you think about all those possibilities?
I actually think that's extremely likely, and I think the thing that you said that makes the most sense here is actually turning her against them, because if you can somehow convert Arale, who at this point in the series obviously would be giving a lot of characters problems, if you could convert Arale to being a negative character or a character who's an antagonist, now Goku has a dilemma where not only is Goku having to deal with a character that's possibly stronger than himself, but now he's dealing with a character who he's friends with that he now has to take down. So it creates kind of like that dilemma where I have to go through that my friend to actually ultimately save the plot. And I think in terms of the androids, depending on what it is, because the real source of Arale's power is gag, but if you want to dissect this more on a literal level, I think you could also say that he could look at her components and say, okay, how can I improve Jinzo, Ningen 17 and 18, and how can I also improve Cell? How can I improve 16 or 19? And I think ultimately it could actually make the Red Ribbon Army or his androids much more dangerous, because he could use her components to empower them.
That's what I'm saying,
right.
That he would be inspired by the work that Senbei Norimaki did, and he would use that to really crank up his technology.
Right.
And I think that's the most interesting what if. I feel like we just created like a Supersonic Warriors type storyline here.
Great game,
right?
man.
Love that game.
But
now let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just thought about something, though, that's really interesting. So if we were to just dial this back for a second, Geekdom, I got a little bit of a light bulb about an earlier scenario dealing with Arale here. So if we go back to Piccolo, let's say Arale defeated Piccolo at the 23rd tournament, right? This now means that when Raditz shows up years later, if Arale goes to help Goku fight against Raditz, then Raditz would be defeated, which ultimately means that Piccolo wouldn't probably be a good guy because Goku has to die, and there has to be a reliance on Gohan's power in order for Piccolo to abduct Gohan and to ultimately become a good guy in the series. So in this scenario, we have a situation in which all of the events will probably follow, but Piccolo's not going to be an ally.
Not just that, but also, for all we know, if she kills King Piccolo, he may never hatch the egg. Or if she decides to enter into the tournament, she may go in there and just win the tournament and defeat Goku, defeat Piccolo, maybe. Again, it's a maybe here. And maybe she'll go off and just kill the dude, and then the Dragon Balls disappear. So then Vegeta and Nappa would never come to Earth. So there's all kinds of different twists and turns that could happen. But we're going to assume she did not enter the tournament. Exactly, the Dragon Balls are gone. So we're going to assume that she's just not going to enter the tournament because she's just poking a piece of shit somewhere. She's not going to fight.
It's funny when you say that because you're saying that in a jokey way, but that's actually literal to her character, so that's pretty hilarious.
That's right. No, that's where I'm coming from.
But I got another question for you, though, Geekdom, that I really thought about in terms of Arale. So if Arale in this situation is going to be changing history by being a dominant Dragon Ball character, how do you think this affects Future Trunks and the conception of Future Trunks as a character along with the relationship between Vegeta and Bulma? Because in theory, the Android arc might go in a completely different direction without the advancement of Future Trunks.
Yeah, that is a very interesting scenario right there because I feel like possibly Goku would have probably still had the heart virus. Maybe, maybe not. That's, again, we don't know. How would Arale, when Goku does die, would she have died against 17 and 18? Or would it have been, like we talked about, Dr. Garo or Gero reprograms her, turns her into evil, and she helps 17 and 18 wipe out the other Z fighters. Or maybe she doesn't. Maybe Dr. Garo just locks her up somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that would cause a major problem, though, because it would change things, but I think they could easily write their way around it by just having it to where like she gets shut down or something. That's all I can think of.
Right, and I think the biggest part of all of this is how would this ultimately affect Future Trunks and Future Gohan, because obviously those characters were created because they lived in a world without the other characters. But if everybody else pretty much lives because of Arale's influence, or if everybody completely dies because of Arale going rogue and killing everyone, this is really a coin toss on how it can affect the entire plot of Dragon Ball, and I definitely think the future timeline could be affected.
And I'm sure some people are probably asking, well, why didn't she help them out in the actual show? Well, we can't answer that. Same thing goes for every single scenario. Dr. Slump's in a different dimension, so just think of it like that. Don't overthink Dragon Ball. So let's talk about Arale and the Buu saga. You know, hypothetically speaking, let's say Buu does get released. You know, do you think Arale has a counter for the Candy move? Because I feel like if he can turn her into Candy, she's finished.
Yeah, because that Candy move seems to be more magic than actual ability. So if she dealt with that, it would kind of be a problem. And not to mention the fact that since Majin Buu can regenerate, even if Arale can blow him to pieces, there's still that thing where Buu can keep coming back. And not to mention, Buu has the ability to learn new moves. So what if Buu decides to learn the Nia-Cha cannon or whatever? So I think that can actually create a lot of problems for both sides in the Buu arc.
I feel like that might be the big roadblock for Arale. She might be able to beat Frieza. She might be able to beat, Vegeta and Nappa. Perfect Cell might be a little bit of a challenge for her, but I feel like Buu and the Candy technique might actually be the thing that really gives her a lot of trouble. So let us know in the comments what you think about the possibility of Arale being a Z fighter or being a member of, because some people don't like that word, Earth Special Forces, like the Ocean Dub called them, or the Dragon Team. What if she stuck around in Dragon Ball and was part of the Dragon Ball storylines? How do you think things would turn out? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for checking out another edition of What If Discussions. We have a whole playlist of these that Qaaman / Detective Q and I have done together, and look forward to more of these in the future. And thank you for being here as always and doing these. Well, it's our thing, bro. We kind of should do it. We'll talk to y'all down the road.